Hi everyone, Sanjeev again. Today I've got a very special guest who is a busy mom with three kids. Professionally, she works as a team leader in an engineering firm. Um, Sherry, this guest and her husband were very keen and looking for ways to purchase their first investment property, but with the growing family household commitments, same was never enough for the deposit to buy the property, but still they end up buying an investment property. So let's get into this episode to learn how they still found a way and end up buying their first investment property. So welcome, Sherry Ann. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been looking forward to this, Sanjeev. Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of this.
Nah, thanks for joining. And now I'm sure your story will inspire a lot of people and help many others to do the same what you have done for yourself. So, should we start, Sherry, with your bit of a background, where you come from, what you do? I'm really excited to hear all about you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose if we're having a bit of a backstory, I came to Australia when I was really young from overseas. I was born in South America, and our family came to Australia, I suppose, like many other families, for opportunities. I suppose a lot of families either chose England, America, or Australia. We already had my aunt was here, and so she absolutely loved it, and it was a good opportunity for my family. So we all then migrated here. I started primary school education here, so I've been here for a while, and consider myself an Australian because I've spent the longest time here. So I've done all my education here and everything, and I'm currently, like you mentioned, a team leader for an engineering firm. I'm part of the accounts department. And yeah, so at the moment now we're on this, investing journey, and reached out to you. So yeah, that's probably a bit of the early start of coming to Australia, and what it's like as a young person coming into the country. Yeah.
Awesome. No, so good. I think so. And this like the property thing. Like where did this all started for you guys? Like was it in the family or it just where it started? Like for you guys.
Yeah, so for Georgie and myself, we've always been passionate about property. I think we're one of those couples that love watching The Block and any of those kind of renovation shows, or any of those podcasts or YouTube channels where it talks about investing in properties. I think you've got families where they'll start up a business and so forth. For us, it was always, we saw the value in investing in property.
Mm.
For us, like, yeah, absolutely. We've got family that have invested and bought property, and so we knew the benefits of that, and the fact that it was a bit more of a lower risk as well, as far as investing, and all the other ways that you can invest nowadays. So property was always something that we were really passionate about.
Awesome. So it was more for you guys like, hey, learn from other people, and of course, naturally following other people, learning all those things, and that's give you the that mindset that we should invest in properties.
Yeah, I suppose we've got family that invest, and I think for us more so, though, we were self-taught, because we understood the value of investing in property. It was then us kind of going, okay, let's get as much information as possible. Let's listen to as many podcasts. Are we on the right track? Would this be the best fit for our family? And from, being self-taught, we decided that yes, this was the best avenue for us.
Mm. Okay, okay. And so yeah, I think inspired. That's where you're learning, you're self motivated, and because you know what, Sherry, we see like a lot of people is still they're busy with their life, and nothing
Yeah,
wrong in that. They have a job, they have a business, they're happy with their family, everything, but that investment mindset is not there. So it's
yeah,
still, I see, I mean, of course we are in the property game, so for us now, especially you also, you have seen so many people and now you're invested yourself. It's very a norm, like, hey, okay, it's another thing, we do it like
yeah.
as part of the life, right? But it's still, I see a lot of people, they don't have that mindset, like, hey, something, the you know it's
Yeah,
not part of their game plan.
yeah.
So
I think invested in property is one of those things where upfront you need a lot of money to kind of start that process. And I think for a lot of people, that would probably be the intimidating thing about it. It's how much you
mm,
need upfront in order to enter the market and be able to pursue this. I think, though, once you research it like we did, you saw the value. So, yes, at the start, and it's one of those things where people always say the first one is always the hardest. And once you kind of start that, it then becomes a ripple effect, or that passion grows even more, a bit of an addiction. I think I heard you talk on a podcast of you talking about when once you got your first few, that's it. You were in love with the process. And it's very much is that feeling. Yeah, definitely.
yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And once that mindset, once you get in the process,
Yeah.
and then of course, you will fall in the love, or sometime you may hate the process because
Yeah.
you're just not getting the right guidance, or maybe not in the right mindset, or the fear factor is more than the fear,
Yeah. Absolutely.
the the gain side. So I think
Absolutely.
if for few people it can deteriorate actually,
Yeah.
but for majority it works. I know, again, if you're learning the process you're doing, the focus is not just on while investing or making money, but the focus is also on the learning, right? So
Absolutely, yeah. And I think like we need to lean into that bit about the fear. I think
mm,
absolutely knowing that you have to let go of so much money for the deposit, that fear is one of those things where you're like, oh, but if I'm not living in it, what's the gain from it? And also, with the interest rate or the tenants and all the rest of it. And I think that's where, for my husband and I, we leaned into the education side of it. The
mm,
things that we didn't know, we went out to find out. You can easily YouTube, like you've also got a YouTube channel where you can easily put in the questions that scare you a little bit, and work on whether or not that's still the right path for you, whether or not you find the answers that kind of alleviates that fear. You'll always have fear in everything that you do that's a bit
mm,
unknown for the first time, and everything is a learning curve. But I think if you kind of do as much research as you can, um, it softens that blow. It makes it a little bit
yeah.
easier.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, especially, now we are in this game and now gone a little, with multiple properties and all, right? But when you look at the first time someone investing and thinking, hey, I need to put 100K or 150K towards deposit, stamp duty, and all those expenses which comes with, and the return may be after 5, 10 years, which looks little longer, right? And you don't
Yeah,
know. So, but the upfront investment is huge, right? So
yeah,
that also can create a lot of fear for many people, especially who they are starting with, right? So I think, yeah, no, that's a great point. I think um, so. I think you now, like, you recently bought your first investment property, and so what has been your like what you have been thinking from some time, or what you have been trying to do to secure a property, like, of course you're trying to save money, and then of course saving was not happening, and then you found another avenue. So do you want to talk a little about that?
yeah, absolutely. So my partner and I, Um, the strategy that we chose was that we were going to go the conventional route. And what I mean by that is save, 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 purchase our first investment property, um, and continue going that way, and build from that. And in the time of doing that, we went from having 2 kids to 3 kids, and the age gap between my kids, the eldest is 6, and the youngest is 1. Just January the 31st was his birthday. So in between all that, expenses comes up, you go on maternity leave, you get a bigger car, all those things that come with having a third child. And so we thought to ourselves, okay, while we've still got savings, it's not as much as we would want, that we would also need to comfortably get the deposit that we need for the property that we wanted to get. And we just didn't want to get anything for the sake of saying, let's get an investment property, because you also want to get the right investment property in the right place, the right market. at the right cost. There's all those factors that you need. You don't just want to get an investment property because it's across the road from you and you can see it every day and all the rest of it. So I think, like, let's just get that out of the way. You want it to be that the property that you get for yourself grows, but it's also the right purchase. And that's not always
mm,
going to be in your street, in your suburb. That could be in another suburb. It could be, something that you're not able to easily see. But because of having the right team around you, you know that the property's fine. And it's one of those things as well that you also said. I think you need to understand that investing in property is not a quick fix. It's not the thing that's going to get you rich tomorrow or get you comfortable tomorrow. You go into that knowing that the rewards of an investment property is a long term gain. We're not doing it because we're like, oh my God, yes, we're going to go on 5 holidays tomorrow. This for us is about generational wealth. It's about us setting ourselves up,
mm,
still having that 9 to 5 for a few more years, and in the long term, seeing the rewards of what we're doing and working towards now. So for us, the game plan was okay, because we've got all these factors and we're not going to be able to go the conventional route in the time frame that we'd like to do it. How else can we get into the market? And I think
mm,
that's the thing people need to understand. And what I hope your listeners take away from
mm,
today's interview is there are
mm,
always other ways. If you come across a bit of a stumbling block in front of you, don't let that be the thing that makes you go, oh, okay,
mm,
we can't do it. What are the other ways that you can kind of reach your dreams, pursue your dreams, have the right team behind you to help facilitate that? And so by sheer luck, we were having a really long drive to visit my sister, who at the time was living in Albury, Wodonga, and we came across listening to you, Sanjeev, on a podcast. Um, and it was you talking about investment properties, but going through SMSF, which is a self managed super fund. And up until that time, we had heard about self managed super fund, but we never really pursued it because we were like, well, we're going to go the conventional route. So that doesn't really apply to us. Not until you need to kind of pursue something different that you're like, oh, I remember that podcast. Like, let's lean into that. Let's research that a little bit more.
mm,
And that's what we chose. We chose to say to ourselves, okay, what does it mean to use your super as a way of getting an investment property?
mm. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think there's a good saying which, I remind myself all the time that whenever the student is ready, the teacher appears, right?
yeah,
So it's it's your concise decision that, hey, I am into the wealth. I need to buy a property because it's a long term. It is a generational wealth, because I feel still a lot of people struggle to understand that,
yeah,
and that's where action taking is harder,
yeah,
because we are looking for quick fix, we're looking for a guaranteed solution and not thinking long term, because we are not taught to think long term,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
um, but you were thinking like that, and that's where, like, you're looking for ways, and suddenly you heard, okay, super or self-managed super fun,
yeah,
and then you say, oh, I need to do that, there is a solution, I can do that, right?
yeah,
So I think that's what happened. So I think, okay, so you heard that, and that's where you choose that. And that's why when I talked to you when we started working, I was like, she's so determined, she want to buy a property.
yeah,
And even your husband George, he's the same, right? Nice
yeah,
guy. And he's like, we both were like, so okay, makes sense, right? Like, but it comes because the action taking comes because of the mindset, the thought process, and that decision that, hey, we need to do it,
yeah,
and find a solution. So you're looking for a solution, right?
yeah,
Rather than, hey, I don't have money, which we know most people can say, I
yeah,
don't have money, I don't have enough savings, I've got three kids,
yeah,
you know, we have high inflation,
yeah.
cost of living is expensive, right? But you're looking for a ways, and eventually you did that. So um, I know, Sherry, like a lot of people think my self super fund is my retirement fund. That money I should be holding it tight, not touching it. What if I put in something else, right?
Yeah.
So, did you get that kind of fear because you're touching your super money, which is more of a retirement funding nest egg, right? So, did you had kind of fear or that kind of chat between you and George or anyone? So, what do you have to say on that?
No, but for us, I think it was the complete opposite. I think for a very long time, we knew that our super money wasn't going to give us the lifestyle that we have built up and the lifestyle that we wanted when we went into super. I think it's one of those things where when you're young, you don't care about your superannuation. When you're in your 20s and so forth, you start a job, they say to you, you can either put it in a super fund that you have or you can just sign up to ours. I remember before I moved all my super into one, I had 7 different superannuation funds out there. I didn't care about what happened to my superannuation fund. You just don't, because, like you said, we don't get taught about
mm,
the long term gain. You're never taught in school to invest. You're never taught how to make your money grow for you. None of those things are things that we have as part of our curriculum, which we should. Um, and I think once we got to a certain age, George and I had the conversation around, we always knew that we wanted to pursue and invest in property lifestyle. Like that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to one day be able to be like, this is the thing that we're going to wake up and do. We're going to buy property and all the rest of it. The reason why the super came about, like we said, was because in our current situation, while we have savings, we just don't have enough to go the conventional route, and we have that money sitting in super. The problem with that money for us is that it will never be enough. And I've been working since I was 14 and 9 months. And I think it's one of those things that, coming from another country, you were never taught to rely on the government. Like, let's be very
mm,
honest, there's only a few countries where you are taught that you are going to get a super. um, or any Centrelink payments. That was all foreign for my family coming into
mm,
Australia. So we were very much taught to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, make your own money, don't rely on anyone. Because nothing is guaranteed, and it's that thing that I always knew at a certain point I would need to look into my super, see how much we have, and the good thing is my husband was on the same path. Although he's Australian born, he himself could see that our super wasn't going to stretch. And so for us, once hearing your podcast and once kind of working out that the conventional route wasn't going to work for us right now, like don't get me wrong, we will come back to Sanjeev in a few years and go down the conventional route because that's still very much a dream and a passion. But for right now, if I've got that money sitting in super, why not make it work for me? And
mm,
when you look at it for us, that money that we took out of our superannuation and put into a property will work out tenfolds than us just leaving money in our super. That's the reality of it. If you do the maths, we will gain a lot more out of that property than we will working towards putting money in our super every month and what we'll get at the end of it. And the thing is, my husband and I don't want to have to choose when the end of our life, because we're also not guaranteed a pension. That's the other thing. I think everyone needs to kind of sit back and go, a pension's not guaranteed. So if it's not guaranteed, can I afford the life that I want, the life that I've been accustomed to long after I finish working?
mm,
Um, and you need to sit back and go, how much will I need year by year? um, to be able to have a lifestyle where I don't have to choose between meat and medicine. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the reality. Like, how many elderly people do you see now where their pension doesn't work for them, where their superannuation, for whatever tragedy, has been drained in half? They're close to retirement, and this massive tragedy happens, and their super's gone, or it's dwindled a significant amount. Putting my money into property, that is not a risk that I'm going to worry about. So that's why we chose that option.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, anything has a risk, but then where is the less risk, right? Like, where can you do? I mean, property has been always, the less right, like,
Yeah,
what, unless there is a major war or weather event or something, but then again you have
absolutely.
insurance and like,
Yeah,
but it is always the less risk and always has done better than any other asset class in the history, right?
yeah,
So time and time it has proven also. And you're spot on. I think right now in Australia we have that problem where, especially late, like 50 plus females, right, like the ladies who has had jobs and all, they run the family, grow the kids,
yeah.
and now they're homeless. There's not enough
Yes.
from the government. So we have a major problem there, right?
Yeah.
And but if if they would have planned earlier, or
Yeah.
they were educated,
Yeah.
then then they would have, I'm sure, if they can run the family, they can run companies, work for the companies, and run the country, they
100%.
can plan for their retirement as well, right? But it's the missing link, right? And that sense of urgency also, because we
Yeah.
think everyone's gonna die, but I will live forever.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's not going to happen to me. I've got time.
It's
It's
not
okay.
gonna
I'll
happen.
do that. I'll do
Yeah,
that in
yeah,
5 years.
yeah,
I'll worry about that in 10
yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then that 10 years is, and then you say, "Oh, I should have done it a
Yeah.
long time." So, yeah, I think I agree. I mean, that that sense of urgency is so important, and I
Yeah.
like the way you say always, "Hey, saying yes to life, saying yes to investment, saying
Yeah.
yes to lifestyle,"
Yeah.
because most of the time we have given. I know a lot of the people have given themselves, right? Like, "Hey, it's not for me. It will not happen. We'll see," and you drag. But if
Yeah.
you start saying, like, no, the way, even that small things, doing myself has changed my life, like saying yes. Hey, I can be my boss, I can do this thing, I can be, live
Yeah.
my life on my terms and condition. And guess what, now it has happened, right? So just saying small things, yes, yes, I can do it, rather
Yeah.
than saying it's not possible, maybe not for me. No,
Yeah.
hey, we all can do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's um so yeah, I think like that attitude, right? And that's why I really love working with you and George, like, because I've always seen the positivity, that vibe,
Yeah.
of action thinking, and now let's do it, right? So now I think, so yeah, a lot of people listening, I think those are also very crucial while you're thinking about buying a property and all, but to start thinking, hey, it's possible, I can do it too. It's
Yeah.
not just only for riches or people who has got a build a portfolio or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has started with one, right? I
Yeah.
remember my first property was hard, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of money.
Yeah.
I ended up buying with a lot. I think I bought it with pretty much 97% loan that
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
because back in 2014, because the bank valuation came around 50, 60,000 less for the property. All I had was 10% deposit.
Yeah.
So, and then LMI. So I took that chance. I know that
Yeah.
was a good decision, that I know I didn't said, oh, I'll buy after a year.
Yeah.
I just bought it, and luckily the bank given the LMI and all. So yeah, the first one is always the hard. It's a nightmare kind of thing. Even I go back in my times. So
Yeah.
it's been always like, you talk to anyone. Most of the time it's hard, right? But
Yeah.
once you have done the first bit, it gets better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It gets
Um,
easier. Yeah.
yeah. So, Sherry, like now, how you feeling now, given you bought your first property in such a nice location, coastal town, everything, and you have been thinking and looking for ways to do it for a long time, or some time at least. So, how you feeling now about that? Everything is done.
Yeah. I think, to be perfectly honest, there's still that level of shock. Like, to
Mhm.
be perfectly honest, I think we celebrate and we're really excited that we've achieved this, but it's also that bit of you going, oh my goodness, I've done that. Like, we've
Mhm.
done that. We've achieved that goal. It's when you've got a goal that you've had, which feels like it's been on the horizon for so long, and to finally be able to get that, absolutely, there's a sense of pride, that you feel, but it's also that sense of, oh my goodness, we're here, we've got it. And there's also that sense of, okay, what's next? Like,
Mm.
what are we going to do? How are we going to achieve
Yeah.
it? But first and foremost, we're incredibly proud of what we've done, because we've done it on our own, to be perfectly honest.
Yes.
We've, through no help of parents, through no help of anyone else. And that's why we got a team. We done the research, we done the hard work. So we're extremely proud of what we've achieved.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think it gives a lot of, like self-image, respect for yourself, that sense of pride, like, hey, I was thinking, I wanted to do it. And I'm sure there's a lot of nerve-breaking in between, right? A lot of
Yeah,
decisions, even,
yeah,
you're buying, and especially, you bought interstate, which we're going to talk about, right?
yeah, yeah.
So but like, you get back, and then the best part is, once you have done the first one, you're planning for next, right? Now you're
Oh,
saying, now I can only think of the next one. So I
absolutely.
agree with you. I think
Yeah,
it's so good, right? How
yeah.
is your hubby George feels about now? He has done it. I'm sure you supported, and a lot of talk has gone behind the scenes.
No, absolutely. And George is someone that is He's more the person that will be the, oh my god, yes, the high five. And I'm a little bit more reserved in my excitement, don't get me wrong, I'm extremely proud and exciting, but he's the one that will very much vocalize how excited he is and high five. And he's the one that very much reminds me, let's stop for a minute, let's celebrate this, let's, in this moment, once we got the call to say, yep, done, sold, he's the one that kind of said to me, let's take some time out and just really love this moment. We gave each other a massive cuddle and we went out for dinner and we celebrated. And the kids didn't really know why we're celebrating because they're so young. But he was the one that said, no, 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 we need to celebrate the small wins, or in this case, a very big win, but we need to celebrate the wins and appreciate what we've done. Because, like you said, it's not the easiest process. Um, but you need to be able to kind of say to yourself, well done, high five, on our own, being able to do it, no one else really guiding us other than the team that we created around us of professionals. Yeah, he was over the moon. It's something that we've had on our bucket list, one of many properties that we've got on our bucket list. So to be able to achieve that is amazing.
Yeah, no, and definitely it will happen. I can see, that positivity, that mindset is there, and no, it's just a matter of time, right? And
Yeah,
building a portfolio, anything, want to do big, it takes time, right? Like
yeah,
so. So now, tell me, like, you have bought your property, interstate, sight unseen.
yeah.
How you feeling? Like, are you nervous? Like, even like, no, just now you're owner of the property, but even buying before, were you nervous thinking about interstate? Because a lot of still people, in the investment path, they think, oh, I live in Sydney, I live in there, I need to buy around the area, I should be able to touch, feel, smell the property. What do you have to say around that? Did you get that kind of fear or anything? Was it or is it easy for you to just buy interstate because you think, oh, it's just an investment property? What do you have to say?
Yeah. How did we feel about buying interstate? I, because we didn't do it on our own, because we reached out to yourself and your team to start that process and to help us navigate that process, no. To be perfectly honest, no. There was no emotions involved. And that is me just with my character, knowing that this is more, I see it as a business deal as opposed to an emotional, my kids are growing to grow up here and, I'm going to put a picture frame on the wall. No, to me, this is a business transaction.
Mm,
And because I have a team around me who done all the groundwork, to be perfectly fair, I didn't have to do anything when it came to this property other than saying yes or no. And even that, I asked you and said, Sanjeev, what do you think? Would you purchase that property? And the property that which is quite funny, the property that we ended up buying, Sanjeev said to me, if you don't buy it, I will. And I was like, done, sold. It was that much of a good investment. The property was amazing that we purchased. That no, there was no emotion behind it. Would I be able to do this on my own and feel confident enough for George and I to buy something interstate? No. And don't get me wrong, it can be done, but what would that process have been like? How smooth would that process have been for us? And with three young kids, no, I didn't have the time, nor did I mentally want to go through that fight. And my husband and I were quite confident in the decision we made. And when it comes to buying interstate, this is the thing I want to say, the investment property that you're going to buy is not, and I said it before, is not always going to be in your suburb. You're not going to always be able to drive past it and make sure that the tenants are cutting the grass and, that everything is spotless. That's not what investing is. Don't get me wrong, you can get a deal around the corner. You can buy your parents' house if they move out and decide to downgrade and all the rest of it for the right price. But I think you need to see this as a business transaction, which means that opportunities can happen anywhere in Australia. I can buy a property in Tasmania. I can buy a property in Queensland, in Perth, in that should not matter to you, the postcode. It's whether or not long term that property will perform in the way that I need it to perform. I'm not just buying it because as well, the property I'm getting it for 300K. Well, that's great that it is at that cost, but long term, how long will it take before I'm seeing the benefits of that property? The
Mm,
property that we ended up purchasing ticked all the boxes. It was spot on. And so the fact that it was interstate did not bother us in the slightest because it ticked all the boxes of what we wanted that
yeah,
property to perform for us in the long term. And once again, it's long term, everybody. That's the focus here when it comes to investing.
yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, see, that's the thing, and the earlier someone as an investor can understand what you just said, better for them,
Yeah,
because because you have to focus on the data, where the growth is, the fundamentals, and not that because I love this suburb or I know this
yeah,
area.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
you put your money where you can get your maximum ROI and all, right?
yeah,
So, and funny enough, I know the property you bought it. I've got the myself. I had a property on the same street, right?
yes,
so,
yes,
so I knew I think everything, and in fact, I gone through the same process. I mean, of course, I'm lucky enough. I travel everywhere,
yeah,
but even when I bought the property, we gone through the same inspection, virtual, and all, right, and through the same process. And when I traveled again to that area, after 3 4 months, then I arranged with my property manager, and literally inspected the property, but after 4 months, right, of
yeah,
buying myself. So yeah, it's yeah, interstate is, buying interstate, and is the way, and should diversify and all those things, right?
yeah.
So now tell me, what three tips you would give to other investors who are looking to, either they're to invest in property, or they're feeling fearful, and what your top three tips for other people's?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when it comes to investing, first and foremost, if you are doing it with a partner, and I'm speaking from that side of things, make sure that the goals that you have also align with your partners. It
Mm,
causes less headache down the track. Make sure that you're a
mm,
team on what it is you're wanting to achieve. Write it down. My husband and I have written down our manifestation list of what it is we'd like to achieve in, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What are the things we want? What are our goals? What are the things that are our make and breaks? So that would be number one. And if you're doing it on your own, still write that down. Write down what the things are that will bring you joy, that you want to achieve. Um, don't go out there willy nilly. Have a plan, because having a plan makes sure it lets the execution be a lot smoother. The other thing I would say would be do your research. I think it's one of those things that you hear, um, you know, you plan, and for us, planning made it easier to understand the terminologies and what we needed to do and all the rest of it. You can never plan too much. Like, don't also just be stuck. Like, I don't want people to just be stuck
mm,
where they're just planning for the next 5 years because they
mm,
need to get all the information. Information changes all the time, but on the same
mm,
sense, you want to be able to know what you're going into. And Australia at the moment has so many podcasts. Like, I love the fact that we're in a nice era of getting information that relates to us. Because when my husband and
mm,
I, George, first started this journey, the podcasts that we would listen to about investing were all from America. And so
mm,
some of their terminologies, their 401k and all that, which is like their
mm,
version of their super, didn't mean the same to us. But we still took away from it because at the end of the day, education is education. At
mm,
the moment, we have an influx of people out there doing the podcast like you are, Sanjeev. So find your people. And from that as well, you find out the teams that you want around you. Like at the end of the day, you were on another podcast, Sanjeev. It's beautiful now
mm,
that you've got your own podcast, your own YouTube channel, your own TikTok channel. So we're able to like get our fix off what we want from listening to you and our education from you. But at the time, you didn't have a podcast, and we heard you on another podcast. And that's how we built our team, was from listening to an Australian podcast about investing and what the market's like and what's happening around Australia and what are the best spots and everything. Because the people who really care and who are really passionate about what they're doing, they give you more information than they probably should. they give you that information for free. And that's one of the things that we absolutely loved when we heard your podcast, Sanjeev, is you were giving us little droplets of information that really we should be paying for. Do you know what I mean? You were outlining, guys, do this. Even if you don't come to me and my team, but do this. This is what you need to look out for. Roughly, this is how much things should cost and all the rest of it. And we thought, oh my God, that's the person we want to align with. And my third bit of information, like advice that I would give someone is don't get caught up on what the property looks like and where the property's at and all those little things. At the end of the day,
Mm,
this is a business transaction. You
mm.
are doing this for the long term. This is not a quick fix. This is not a, you're going to buy the property and in 2 years you're going to take out your money and you're going to get rich. No, this is a long term game.
Now, awesome, awesome tips. I think they are so spot on. They have so much deep meaning, Shari. I know you understand that, but I think it's the truth actually, right? I'll just add few things, but now thank you so much for sharing your top, and they're just awesome, right? Like just to reiterate, like on the first point you talk about the if you're a couple, be on the same page, work as one team. It is such an important bit, like you can't lose. I still see sometime wife wants to do it but the husband not on the same
Yeah,
page,
yeah,
and or vice versa, right? And
yeah,
then, hey, come on, be on the same page. Like me and my wife is not doing all the transaction, but she still listen to me, she will still get involved, understand, and still she provide good feedback, right, or
yeah,
inputs with
yeah,
whatever. So be on the journey, like I know you and George like do it, and so well, right? Be together. I doesn't feel like I'm talking to one person. It's like it's feel like I'm talking to one person. Like
yeah,
even as two. So it's it's the most essential part, and that's why in our business also when we talk to a couple, we say you both need to be present.
yeah,
Otherwise, I'm not keen to work with you guys.
yeah,
That's the friend,
yeah,
because if you're not on the same page, then how can someone help you as well,
yeah,
right? Because first as a couple, so it's very important. And I know, I think one bit you put, like don't focus on the look and feel and this and that, too many small things.
yeah,
Hey, look at the bigger picture.
yeah,
Understand that, of course, and everyone start when they start investing, they look at the small little things, right?
yeah,
But hey, come on, get over it. Otherwise,
yeah,
it's gonna be a bit of a ride, right?
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so so now I think yes, you're spot on that. So now thank you. Now, Shari, what's your plan for your the next or and the future investment properties? What's you're planning for it?
Yeah, so our plan, like I mentioned before, we've got a 3 year, 5 year, and a 10-year plan. And so um, our plan long term is like we said, this podcast is about um, our path into SMSF and what is it like being a female and what is it also like being, not an Australian born who's pursuing this and all those things. Our plan is also to grow our SMSF. Like while we've got that one property and we could easily just have that one property and be fine, we want to
Yep.
be able to exceed what we've got in there and be very, very comfortable with our SMSF. But our passion will always be the conventional way. We would be planning our next stage now is to increase our current savings to be able to once again with your team work out a plan on um, purchasing a conventional um, property, even if it's a
Yep.
townhouse or whatever the case may be, and start that conventional journey. So let that grow. Long term, my husband and I would very much like to reduce our 9 to 5 or stop it at all and just pursue, invest in property in the same way that you and your wife have. And then, like
Yep.
Sanjeev, I just can't say enough how much of an inspiration you've kind of set the blueprint on what that's like. Do you know what I mean? Also not being an Australian born, and not that that has anything to do with it, but it's also one of those things that coming to another country and having to start again and everything, that's probably not always your goal. I think it's
Mm.
one of those things where coming from another country, we tend to have the full the major fours that our parents want. They want you to be an engineer, they want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant. It's one of those things. And to
So
kind
true.
of explain to them, no, 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 I think investing is the way to go, and having to explain to them the benefits of that. It's one of those things. No, no, you get the one house, you live in the one house, you pay off the one house, and that's security. You get the one job, you stay at the one job, and that's security. And following a different path and being able to go, no, no, there are other ways to kind of grow your wealth. While I absolutely enjoy the job that I'm at and what I'm doing, and my husband's the exact same, we absolutely love the companies that we work for and what we're doing. We also don't want to be tied to our 9 to 5. We don't want it to be the thing that's choking us every day. We want to be able to do our 9 to 5 with the freedom of knowing that while we sleep, we're still making money. We're creating generational wealth for our children. We're setting ourselves up for later in life. And that's the goal. It's right now we're great. With our 9 to 5, we're comfortable. We've got a great life that we've created for ourselves. But I want to be able to later on, as I get older, be able to go, we are fine. I don't need to rely on the company, on the government, sorry. I don't need to rely on a company. I don't need to rely on my children to look after me. George and I have set ourselves up where we are fine.
Yep, yep, exactly. And it's a lot of people have done it. So, the people are in front of them. Like, when I started, I got inspired from other people's stories,
Yeah,
right? That's what
yeah,
it happens. And
yeah,
then I said, hey, if they can do it, even I can do that.
yeah,
And, this just role, that effect, right? Like we just get it from other people, right? So
yeah,
it's possible, right? And then it's again having that choice in life, right? Like where, we're not relying on our 9 to 5 or a
yeah,
business or like there's more to life, right? and
yeah.
and having that, I mean, it's not about even you retire, like if it will be very boring to, or no,
Mm,
someone will kill
no,
themselves if you have to sit at home
yeah,
idle, right, doing
yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
But having the choice where you don't have to really work for money, and money's happening, and you know
yeah, you
it's
don't
in
have to think
autopilot
about it.
mode.
You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
don't have to think about it. You don't have
yeah,
to go, oh my goodness, if next year the car breaks down, or, oh my goodness, whatever the case may be. Or if you want to book a holiday, you have the freedom to go, oh yeah, no problems. We can do that. We can do that with ease. Yeah, it's that comfort at the end of the day. And like you said, yeah, I'm too young to retire. And also, what are we going to do? Like stare at each other all day? No, we're still going to need to do things. So once again, our goal is always to work, but it's having that freedom of going, how much time do I give to a company and how much do I give to our business or our growth or the things that we want to pursue or even just our passion projects, having that
yeah, yeah.
freedom. And that's what the financial situation means for us. It's the freedom to be able to do what we want to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's so good, and you're thinking, and if you're not thinking for yourself, who's gonna think, right?
Yeah,
And initially you also talk about like that you have to create your own economy and not rely on the government,
yeah,
because government is there to run the system, right? Like,
yeah,
and they may give you bread and butter, but we have more to life, right? Like,
yeah,
and it needs more than that, and no, and we can create while, and we are all educated, we are smart, we can do achieve anything, right?
yeah.
So why not? So now I think so good, Sherry. I think now one last thing, any final words, or anything you'd like to add for the people who are looking to invest in the current environment? Rate of interest are higher. People are a little scared. They think probably probably may have a crash or whatever, right? I don't know. So,
Yeah.
do you have to add anything?
Yeah, I think what I would, leave with is letting everyone know that there is an abundance. There is more than enough out there for all of us. For every single one of us in Australia, we could all be millionaires. There is no limit to what we can achieve. It's just that you've got to put in the work. Nothing comes for free. And I think we've all heard that before. If it's too good to be true, then it's probably not real. Um, and when it comes to the current situation, excuse me, of, you know, the interest rate and all the rest of it, there are always ebbs and flows. What we're currently going through is nothing different to what our parents have gone through and our grandparents have gone through. It's just different times. There has always been, and you can always do the research, ups and downs. Right now, yeah, everything is quite high and everything is quite high in comparison to the dollar that like our parents, like, don't get me wrong, I get that for us $1 million isn't the same $1 million that our parents had, but this is where we're currently at. This would not be a reason for me to not buy. And to those who sit back and go, oh, I'll just wait till the interest rate goes down and everything, there is never the right time to get into the market. Whether the interest rate is high or low and how far your dollar will stretch does not mean that you shouldn't just jump in. You know, yes, the interest rate can go down and your dollar might get you a little bit more, but I'm not going to wait for that, because when will that be? Right now, you can't tell. You know what I mean? So that doesn't stop me from pursuing what I need to get in order to achieve my goals. I'm not going to let what's happening at the current market be the thing that makes me go, oh, no, 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 I'm not going to get a property. I'm going to wait for the market to go down. um I like, once again, there's an abundance of properties, there's an abundance of cash. We just need to work towards those goals.
Yeah. No, it's just such a good reminder for everyone, right? Sherry, like it's whatever we do, there's abundance. Universe is provided,
Yeah,
or no, or Australia can say, for if you're buying a property, it's abundance of opportunities, and it's been for from long it's been since we know civilization, right? And
yeah,
it will be forever, like opportunities. So I think you're spot on, and interest rates will go up and down, but
yeah,
that doesn't stop us. But yeah, I think it's called a good message, like we all can be millionaire, and no, and it's just like, just yeah, don't look at the economics like, hey, right now interest is high, inflation is high,
yeah.
should I stop? No, just take action, make it happen, make it
That's
work
it.
for yourself, and yeah, and we all be fine. So I think now, thank you so much. I think thanks again for sharing all your insights, and for your time as well. So, and really enjoyed having the chat and listening to you. I think you're such a positive, and uh, and you're working towards it, right? And so no, really enjoyed.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity to be able to share our experience, I suppose, with my husband and I. And I suppose, my final little message as well is I'd love to see more women pursue this as well. And like I
Yeah,
said, like, obviously I'm doing it with my partner, but for the single ladies out there who as yet haven't got a partner, or, are happy to be single, I'd love to say to them, see investing as being a way of getting financial freedom, because I think, like we touched on it before, just, I know I'm recapping, but you spoke about um, what super can get you from a female's perspective. Like, we
yeah,
don't earn as much as males, and at the end of the day, when it comes to retirement, it's quite scary how much we'll have in our superannuation fund in comparison to the males out there. And I think investing or property and having the team behind you, Sanjeev and his team, seeing that as a way of gaining that financial freedom. If you can do it, go out there and get it. If you can't do it the conventional way of saving that deposit that you need, which is roughly around 100K, to 150 to be comfortable to get the right investment, what's in your superannuation? Contact Sanjeev and the team and say to them, I've got X amount. What can that do for me? Because the beautiful thing is, you then let people know how much they need in order to get a good investment property that can work for them. So I think I would love to encourage women to look at the long term future for their retirement, because I think it's quite a scary thing to not plan that
mm,
ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree, and so I think, and yeah, and the females are running the home,
Yes,
their working force, right? Like,
yeah,
they're nowhere. So when it comes to wealth creation,
yes,
planning for themselves.
absolutely.
I mean, they're busy planning the home, their husband, their kids,
Yeah,
right,
no,
and the
absolutely.
workplace. But when
Yeah,
it comes to their own wealth creation,
yeah.
sometime, of course, but yeah, if they can plan, and that's why,
If you can,
um,
yeah, absolutely. If you can do all that, ladies, don't let this be a daunting task. Like, you're absolutely right, Sanjeev. For so many women, they are running a household, they're still doing the 9 to 5, they're doing the school activities, whether they're doing it on their own or they're doing it with their partner. women always have that little bit more. No matter how much your partner is supportive, if your children are sick, they're going to want mum over wanting dad. So if you can do all that, ladies, you can do this. I know you're probably sitting back going, where am I going to have the time? Trust me, I thought the same thing. You find the time, because this is towards your future. So yeah, ladies, if you can, if you've been thinking about it and you think that, oh, I don't know if I can do it, get the team behind you. Get Sanjeev and his team to help you with the nitty gritties in the background that you don't have time to do. That was a massive stress reliever for myself. So yeah, once again, Sanjeev, thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
No, so much. Pleasure is all ours. Now, thank you so much, Sherry. And yeah, I think we'll see you again next
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new from this episode. Please don't forget to review our podcast and tune in every Tuesday 8 a.m. Sydney time to listen to all our inspirational guests and learn from their property journey. In case you're looking for help with your property investment journey or building a property portfolio, please visit our website www.investorsdream.com.au to learn more about us and our services. And feel free to book a call from our website for a friendly chat. Have an awesome life and happy property investing.